Hello, everyone. Welcome to Self Love You. So glad to see you today. I'm not going to wear these, I promise. But I am going to talk to you today about the inner critic. This is a pretty difficult topic to discuss because it's complex, but I think it's very important to help you to overcome some of the negative emotions that you're feeling and some of the ways that you're shaming yourself in relation to your relationships. So we're going to talk about the inner critic. I'm going to get out as much as I can. I don't know if you guys realize that it is kind of difficult to sit here and talk into a camera and just talk off the cuff about all kinds of things for 10 minutes or 13 minutes. It's not that easy, but I am going to do it. I'm going to do it. Anyway, you guys, if you're interested in life coaching, definitely come to selfloveyou.net. We've got some amazing transformations going on. So meanwhile, I'm going to talk to you about the inner critic. The inner critic is an internal mechanism. It's a construct in your mind that you may not notice. But what I want you to do is start noticing how you are talking to yourself. Do you notice yourself digging on yourself? Do you notice yourself saying negative things about yourself? Do you ever feel like you have a little mean guy or girl inside of you going, you suck. You can't do that. You can't do this. You're not good at this. You should be doing this. You should have thinner thighs. You should not eat so much. You should wake up earlier. You should work out more. You should eat vegetables. You should go for a run more. You should clean your closet. You should. And you begin shooting on yourself. You should on yourself. And what happens is this creates a shame spiral, especially for those of us who have been wounded, and which most of us have. So a lot of us get stuck in this soup of I should do this, I should do that. And we are so hard on ourselves. And that is because we are allowing, by no fault of our own, you'll do better once you know better. But for right now, we're allowing the inner critic, the internal interject of the negative voice that we received from our parents somewhere in childhood, we're allowing that inner critic to override and overrun our lives. And it can be very painful to live in a situation where the inner critic is kicking your butt. It is incessant, it is judgmental, it is unruly, and it will run all over you, and it will cause you to feel like crap on a daily basis. It can cause a lot of psychological pain. It can cause you to feel bad about yourself. It can cause you to self-sabotage. It can cause you to not take opportunities in your life that you would have otherwise taken, because this inner critic is always there to remind you that you can't, that you shouldn't be this. You shouldn't want her back. You shouldn't take him back. You shouldn't be with someone who did that to you. You should be able to move on. You should be able to get past this. I should. And that's what we don't want to do. You want to recognize when your inner critic is overtaking your system, overtaking your mind, and overtaking your heart. And you want to stop the inner critic in its tracks. There's a couple of ways to do this. One of the first ways you can do this is through compassion. And a lot of times it's good to have a counselor. You can go to your therapist. You can go to someone who can validate you in a compassionate way, so that you can know how to talk to yourself in a way that's not critical, but that's loving, that's compassionate, that's honoring, that's respectful, that's caring, that cares for the preciousness of which you are, the precious soul that you are. Having someone as an external source who can come in the beginning to help you to rethink these thoughts of I should, having someone remind you, no, you shouldn't. It's okay to want someone back. It's normal, in fact, after you've gone through a very long relationship, to want someone back. It's normal to take someone back, to desire to take someone back. You're just a normal person. It's normal to not run every day. What do you think you are, the bionic woman? It's normal to not, to want to, it's okay that you didn't eat Brussels sprouts today. Beating yourself up gets you nowhere. You know what? Beating yourself up gets you in a deeper hole. Beating yourself up will never create what you're looking for. If you're wanting to improve yourself, if you're wanting to improve your diet, if you're wanting to work out, it's better if you encourage yourself on the things that you do well rather than tear yourself down at every chance you get. So what we want to do is we want to recognize the inner critic, and we want to, sometimes it takes a third party or someone outside of ourselves, someone else that can come in and say, give yourself a break. You're fine right where you are. You deserve to give yourself a break today. And begin to foster and begin to grow a compassionate higher self within yourself, to give yourself a little leeway, because nobody's perfect. You are perfectly imperfect. And that really is the best answer to the inner critic. Look, I am perfectly imperfect. I don't have to be perfect here. It is okay if I have a flaw. It's okay. It's okay if my toes aren't done, which they are, because finally after the pandemic. Anyway, it's okay that my hair is not perfect. It is okay that I am not always perfect. I am perfectly imperfect, and I can accept myself just as I am, right where I am, without all of these regulations and requirements. I can allow myself to be. I can be present and I can be joyful even when I didn't go for a run like I wanted to. Even when, I drank too much wine. Whatever it is, you are perfectly imperfect and you have the right to be who you are. Another way to combat that inner critic is to beat it off with a stick. And this is a real fun little exercise that I find very joyful. And, when I first started doing this, when I first came out and started healing from, learning to love myself, I would have to deal with the inner critic. And I would start to hear that little inner critic in my head. And let's say I would be driving down the road and I'd be like, and it would say, oh, you're so stupid or whatever. And I go, this is an actual exercise. I don't know where I learned it, but somebody taught it to me. And I go, excuse me. And here I am in a car driving. And the person next to me, I didn't care. I was just like, excuse me. What did you just say about me? You just said I'm not blah, 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 good enough. Look here, bucko. I am good enough. You can kiss my, and I would use real cuss words. I would use real cuss words with my inner critic. And I would tell my inner critic to go jump in the lake. And it was like a real stern, like, look here, bucko. I am fine the way I am. Sometimes you have to do that. You have to stand up to the bully in your brain, because that is what the inner critic is. The inner critic is a bully, constantly trying to boss you around, constantly trying to make you feel poorly about yourself. The inner critic was put into place when we were growing up. If we had, especially those of us who have had issues with, growing up and childhood and codependency and all of that, we may not have had a really good voice that is ingrained within us, that is loving and kind and compassionate and forgiving and allowing flaws, but more of a perfectionist voice that bosses us around and bullies us and makes us feel less than and makes us feel like we can't do anything right. So sometimes you have to get stern. And I did this. It took probably about a year of just talking back to that inner critic and being like, no, I'm not putting up with that. That is wrong. And a few cuss words in between. And I would catch it, going and, putting on my makeup. And I'd hear a voice like, oh, da, da, da. You think you're da, da, da. And I would go, look, you need to stop right there. I'm amazing and I'm fabulous and I'm good enough just as I am. So you have to combat it with a stern sometimes you have to get mad and angry and say, stop it. And if other people are looking, you might want to do this like in your own head and not say it out loud. Am I making sense? I hope I'm making sense. You guys, we don't want to should on ourselves. We are okay just the way we are. And we're never going to be able to get beyond where we are if we're constantly ripping ourselves to shreds. And, you know, you shouldn't be ripping yourself to shred. You shouldn't be bullying yourself, and you shouldn't be allowing anyone else to rip you to shreds and bully you either. You have to stand up for yourself and begin to see that you have a right to exist, that you have a right to be who you are, even though you're not perfect. You have a right to exist, and you have a right to tell people that you don't have to be perfect to live on this planet, and that it's okay if you're not always perfect. Okay? I hope that made some sense. It was hard to get that out. Wow, that was hard. But anyway, it got out, and let me know how these things make you feel, how you feel about your inner critic, and how your inner critic is sabotaging your life. And if you drive down the road and you start talking back to your inner critic, and I want you to think of me, and you can blame me, say, Jenna made me do it. Anyway, if you guys want coaching, I love coaching. We're doing so good. Unbelievable. Come to selfloveyou.net. And until next time, I'm Jenna Ryan, and I will talk to you soon.